Oh shit. Just kidding.
It shouldn't be like that many people, so it's okay. Be a mellow, good number of people. Nothing too scary.
No, I'm whatever.
Hi everyone, welcome.
However I can help the cause.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We're happy to have you again. Just a quick housekeeping spiel. Please, if you can, keep your cameras on, keep your mics muted. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'll be monitoring. We'll make sure to ask them at the end. Thanks again for joining us. And if you like what we do, feel free to find us on gomi.org and sign up for our mailing list.
Okay, we're going to get started here. My name's Claire. I am the vice coordinator with Seth. I'm an MS2 at UMiami, and today we are so excited to have movie medicine for you with RJ Casey. Just as a reminder, our mission is to create an educational platform where interested students and healthcare professionals can explore and interact with wilderness and emergency medicine to showcase the diverse spheres in which physicians and healthcare professionals can make an impact and inspire others to think abstractly about the ways in which we can utilize our careers in healthcare and medicine, and to create an international community of wilderness medicine enthusiasts and experts committed to promoting a diverse and culturally competent environment. These are our upcoming talks. The next few weeks, we have some wilderness physiology and space medicine and venomations. We hope you can make those talks as well. Today, we are so excited to have RJ Casey. He has a 30+ year experience of special operations in the Department of Defense and other government agencies, worldwide locations, including Afghanistan, Colombia, Iraq, Pakistan, Philippines, Somalia, Syria. He's still serving while consulting for corporations and feature films and TV and other organizations. He works as a military advisor, stunts writer, water safety, and aerial safety coordinator for movies including Green Lights of Baghdad, 100 Yards of Hope, Triple Frontier, Barry, Venom, Dunkirk, Presence, The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Terminator, Salvation, and We Were Soldiers. Currently, he is the principal and co-founder of Brigand's Company, where he consults for special operations, personnel recovery, aerospace, remote medicine, feature film, TV, and other areas requested by clients. He's also a combat rescue officer. In this role, he is the team commander and director of operations, combat search and rescue, personal recovery operations for the DoD, NASA, SpaceX, and other government agencies. He's also a physician's assistant for the U.S. government, where he's a direct independent contractor and integral team member for ongoing ground and maritime operations. So we hope you guys can sit back and enjoy this talk that we are very excited to host for you today.
Wow. Hey guys, thanks for having me. I was going to start, I guess I should screen share. I don't know. How do we do this? So I am going to figure out a couple things. Let's do that. So I wasn't sure how to start this, and they were like, hey, have a slideshow and do the thing. And I'm not really good with social media or any of that. So, but what I will do is I'll intro the company I'm involved in, and that'll give you kind of a snapshot, up-to-date glimpse of different things I'm involved in, because it's not just the movie industry. As a primary care provider, if you want to get into the movie industry only, good luck. If you know people, it's great. And it is a word of mouth industry. If you have a manager and they know everybody, then all the pressure's off you and they just find you jobs. But what I find gets you in the entertainment industry is you have this really insane background. So every stunt team I'm on, if you point, like you see somebody and like Sam Trimming, you're like, Sam, what's your deal? Or Mark Rayner, you know, hey, how'd you get into the movie industry? Nobody thinks in high school, I'm going to be in the movie industry. I'm going to go to stunt school or acting school, and that's what I'm going to do. On the stunt side, the real dynamic side of the entertainment industry, everybody's got a story about how they got in the movie industry. So Mark Rayner, he was a 7-year quicksilver pro surfer. He was on the world pro surf circuit. A lot of guys were number one or number two in the world for 5 years straight in the motocross industry, horse riding, you name it. And there's probably been, there's one stunt guy on every stunt team that has some insane background. So usually what gets my foot in the door is my military background. It's not my medical background at all. You can be a set medic and that's interesting, but you guys as physicians, you're probably going to have a pretty crazy background. And I know guys who've gone to med school saying, I want to be in the entertainment industry. I want to be an actor, but the chances of me being a real actor or just doing theater on my weekend time, I'm going to have a real job. And I love medicine. So I'm going to go to med school. I'm going to do internal medicine and then I'll see what happens on the acting side. I know I can do theater. I don't know about movies, but we'll see. So it's kind of interesting how everybody gets in the industry. For me, like I said, I really don't have any wazoo computer skills. But my two business partners put this scene together and I thought it was kind of interesting because it kind of encompasses everything that the three of us are involved in. So our company is called Brigands Co. Brigands actually came about as a derogatory term. And when you're in SOCOM, whether you're in Ranger Battalion, Special Forces, or you're a PJ in the Air Force, you have kind of a twisted sense of humor. And Brigands was kind of in the Abrams charter. And basically General Abrams said, hey, I'm going to start 1st Ranger Battalion. It's going to be the example to set for the infantry. And if I find any hoodlums or brigands in my unit, I'm going to disband them because there's no place for that in the Army. And of course, there's a huge place for that in SOCOM. And we try and get away with everything we can. We really don't fit in the real military. But at the end of the day, the guys who are brigands, which that term came from the 1700s, we all kind of band together and we don't really conform to authority, but we do try and exceed all standards. We try and be the best guy in the room. We're the hardest working guys in the room. And so our mission, promote integrity and embody service before self. And basically thinking of others and helping people around you is kind of our thing. The three of us have had real rough beginnings. We've had our problems, but we've overcome them and we've come out a bit stronger. So our vision is always to help other veterans and other first responders, other people in the medical community to get into different industries that we're in. So, and those are quite a few. So mainly we tie it all under two banners. One is strategic consulting and one is feature film. And I guess the far right picture is on the chaotic set of Dark Knight Rises. We had a blast. And I want to say that's in Pittsburgh or New York City. I think it's Pittsburgh, actually. Huge fight scene, insane, really fun. And then if you go to the center picture, that's the three of us. So it's me in the center, and then Connor and Dylan Curtis, they're both brothers out of Texas. Great guys in their late 20s, and we all met in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And that's me on the left. We're doing a Ram B package. Basically, we pushed a boat out. We skydive after the boat to do a deep sea rescue. We get under canopy, make it to the boat, inflate it, get the engine running, and then go to the sailboat or the ship that we're trying to save somebody on. Let's see. So basically, there's 4 different things that we try and do. Special projects are probably the main thing. So ground, maritime, air, and space projects. Obviously, medicine's a big part with all 3 of us. they're EMTs and paramedics. And then I was a EMTB and then a paramedic before I went to PA school. And I was in special forces. So they sent me to all my civilian certification courses. And then after my second overseas tour in the Middle East with as a special forces medic, they said, RJ, and I was thinking about actually going to med school. They were like, hey, RJ, you're the only medic we have at college. Do you want to go to PA school? I was like, that sounds amazing. I learned what a PA was in the 18 Delta course. You know, what does that entail? And they're like, well, we have a military program. We'd put you on active duty for 2 years and send you to PA school. So that's actually what I did. Personnel recovery, search and rescue and technical rescue. I got into that in Colombia, South America, when I was with the Army and the agency. And it was really crazy down there. It was planes were getting shot out of the sky all the time. And you're part of the medical team that actually, our CSAR package or combat search and rescue package had 4 gunships and 1 medical bird, and then a Black Hawk that had like 8 troops in it to secure an objective area while we packaged the patient and got him out of there. So that was pretty crazy. That's where I kind of cut my teeth in CSAR. But later I joined the Air Force and became a pararescueman. Training, we provide cadre mentoring, planning, and then, you know, we're on set all the time. We do full mission profile scenarios. It really depends on who's contracting us, but that's come into play for a couple movies, all 4 of those things. And then security. So all these pictures are really crazy. I'll start with the one on the bottom right. You might recognize that one. It's Doug, actually. And we were putting them through their paces for their water training before they launched. It was Bob and Doug for that first human launch from Cape Canaveral in a long time. Up in the center, it looks like I'm running and I'm with Harry Styles. I was doing personal security with him. Some of you females might know him. Some of you males might even know him too. Really great guy. He's in his, I think he's like 27 now. Super disciplined, very cool, very laid back. He works out about 6 days a week and he's really conscious about his diet. I loved hanging out with him. He was awesome. And then that's me, top right. We're in Scott F. DeLand. Right under me is Connor when he was with the police. He's now a fireman though. And then catty corner to him is Dylan, his younger brother. And then right between those two is where that picture is with the fire and the ship. That was on Dunkirk. We swam under that fire. We did a lot of stuff on film on that set. It was in the it was actually in a lake. It's supposed to be the English Channel, but it was in a lake in Holland. So we were out in Holland for a month. So as far as the movie industry goes, I wear a lot of hats. My foot in the door, like I said, is a military advisor. So because of my special operations background, I hope that I bring a lot of sanity to scripts. I usually go through the script with the director, usually face to face, and I tell him why the dialogue isn't on point for the military. There should be a lot more cussing, a lot more I don't give a shit, kind of attitude. And that comes from the military. So if there's any military, mercenary, or agency dialogue or scenes, I usually tell them what I think, and I'm pretty direct about it. Because military advising usually involves the dynamic part of a movie, stunts plays, like stunts and special effects are a huge part of any military scene. So I'm usually an assistant stunt coordinator on a movie. Every once in a while, they'll be like, oh my God, this stuntman just doesn't get it. Like, you did pre-production with him. We thought he might be a problem. Now we're on scene. We're about to go on camera. He's a retard. Like, just go to wardrobe, get in costume and take his place. So that happens every once in a while. Usually every movie I'm on, it happens at least once. And then water and aerial safety coordination. Because of my military background, again, usually if I'm not in front of camera or behind it with the director and the principal actor, I'm either in the water or I'm pretty careful in the aircraft and make sure the principal actors are being safe and remind them what they should be looking like. And my job basically on set as a military advisor is make sure nobody looks stupid. Like that's my main job. So you can see on the bottom, I was just in Prague this last weekend and I got invited by the producer and the director to be on Extraction 2. They're on pre-production, and this might interest you guys because I wasn't asked to be on screen or even be a military advisor. What they wanted from me was, hey, can you bring a rescue team in? Because we're going to do a lot of crazy shit. We're going to do a 30-minute oneer, which means they're going to go nonstop on camera filming for 30 minutes straight. So when you guys watch a movie, usually it'll be seconds here, like the principal actor from various angles, and he's talking to people and you see them from various angles. It's really quick edits, quick cuts. And in this era of social media and everyone wants instant gratification, like 10 minutes ago, the cuts are getting shorter by the year. These guys, they're going to do a 30-minute shot. Like, and it's going to be a firefight it's going to break into a prison scene, firefight, open ground, into tunnels, open ground again, on a train, a helicopter lands on that same train. Me and three other guys are going to jump out of that same helicopter, get in the railroad car, and shoot. We're going to die a horrible death because we're the bad guys in that scene. And then also I have to have a technical rescue team covering that accident. So medically and rescue wise, when I hear that they want to do that, first of all, I'm like, good luck. That's going to take a lot of rehearsal and it's doable, I think. But it's going to be a lot of coordination. That's every department firing on all cylinders. For me, I think camera is going to break down. I don't know. We'll see. Special effects is right behind them. Like every squib, every explosion, every vehicle has to move perfectly on camera. So wish us luck. But when I think about the medical scenarios for that scene, I really think about the helicopter landing. And Fred North is an amazing camera pilot. He's an amazing movie pilot. And I've flown with him before down in Colombia, South America on Triple Frontier. And he's done a lot of movies. But my worst fear is that helicopter lands on the train. Something happens, it goes sideways. The helicopter doesn't land right. It falls off the train and goes down into the ravine on the other side and rolls multiple times and comes to a fiery stop at probably 100 feet if we're lucky. So how are you going to rescue everybody in that helicopter? So I need a technical rescue team that can cut first of all, rope system ready to go. And we don't know where on the track because the train's moving. We don't know where it's going to happen. So a rope system has to be, an anchor point, rope system down to the burning hulk, fire suppression. We have to cut into the helicopter. We have to get to the patient after it's safe, right? Because it's on fire. We have to make it safe, cut into the helicopter, get to the patients, make sure they're okay, package them, and hoist them out by a separate helicopter. So what a freaking nightmare, right? Like to medically and rescue wise take care of that scene. So those are some of the things I think about when I read a script and I read the insanity that a production wants to do. That's Extraction 2. Right now I'm on Jack Ryan season 3. We started in Budapest, went to Slovakia, we're in Greece now, and we're flying to Spain tomorrow to finish up. And then I finally got to get to fly home, hopefully Saturday the 25th after filming Thursday and Friday. It's been great. John Krasinski is hilarious on set. He's amazing. And we've had a good time. And I'm on a special operations group team. There's 4 of us on this team. 3 are SEALs and myself. So I've worked a lot with SEALs. I'm really good friends with Kaj, one of the other SEALs that I actually brought on to the show. He and I do a lot of ocean conservation projects, rescuing turtles, turtle projects, coral restoration. We scuba dive a lot with Force Blue. It's pretty amazing. So it's a tight group of 4 of us, and we do rehearsals. No matter what's in the script, for this project, it's gonna change. John Krasinski is gonna walk in. He's gonna be like, the dialogue doesn't really make sense to me. Like, Kevin is the lead military advisor on this show. Kevin, we're gonna move from here to here. What would you say in real life? RJ, what would you say? Kaj, what would you say? And Paul, what would you say? And we kind of talk about it. And he was like, okay, I like that. RJ, Kevin, your lines stick. Paul, how would you move through here? And then Paul would show him and then be like, all right, we're going to rehearse this and then we're going to shoot it. Ready, go. And it's really fast. It's very fast moving. On other shows, like a Christopher Nolan movie, the stunt team rehearses for a couple of days. We do bag tests. We then do people test. We make sure the stunt is solid. And then eventually on film day for that particular scene, we're all ready and rehearsed. And we do it precision clockwork. So it's very different. I think every project's different, and that's what attracts me to the movie industry. You're never doing the same thing. Maybe for a couple days for the same scene, but like week after week, you're not doing the same thing. You're doing something entirely different. And every production is like that. Every movie and every script is different. So it's interesting. Triple Frontier, that closed twice, and I've never had that on a movie. We started production. I was about to fly everybody to Arkansas to do pre-production training with a good friend of mine who's my weapons guru. Anytime I want a weapons tune-up, I'll fly to Arkansas to Darcy Direct Action Resources Center, and my buddy Rich Mason, like, just really puts the screws to me. We shoot 1,000 rounds a day per day for 5 days. It's brutal. It involves a long gun and a pistol, and then we get into tactics after that. So I was going to put the whole cast and crew, which originally for Triple Frontier was Tom Hardy, Channing Tatum, Mahershala Ali, the guy in, I didn't end up doing the production, so I can't remember, Charlie Hunnam and one of his friends. So that was the 5. So it was going to be me, the stunt coordinator, and the director, and we were going to be with Rich Mason, just getting our teeth kicked in for about 5 days. It was going to be awesome. Venom was really cool. We were supposed to, Tom Hardy called me and he said, RJ, I've got a couple must hires. You're one of them. Like, so please say yes. But I want you to be on my movie Venom. And I'm like, Venom, is that like a snake movie? And he started laughing. He goes, no, it's a Marvel comic movie. I was like, Tom, I appreciate the work, but comics, like, that's not really my thing. He goes, no, it's gonna be totally cool. I've got this band of mercenaries. I'm the bad, like, I'm one of the guys. I'm actually Venom. There's a whole mercenary crew. I want him to look organized but not military, if that makes sense. A lot of weapons handling. We're going to be fast roping out of Little Birds onto buildings. You're going to be one of the guys fast roping. Like, it's going to be awesome. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that project. Yeah, I'm here to help for sure. So that was pretty fun. And then Dunkirk was a movie that I was on the stunt team, and we were in almost every scene. Like, if you saw explosions on the beach, we were right around one of those explosions. If there was a dock and it was getting shot by an airplane, we were getting thrown off, pulled off, crashed, shot to the ground. And then if you ever saw any flying stuff in Dunkirk, we're in a rescue helicopter. I'm in a wetsuit with my buddy Greg, who's another pararescueman from my reserve unit in Florida. And we were ready to jump in the English Channel to rescue one of the Spitfire pilots if they went in. World War II planes are meant to fly really fast, but because of the camera ships and trying to film them, they made them fly as slow as possible. So they were stalling out all the time. So that was a pretty interesting movie. And then there's a couple other movies, but let's see what else. So the other thing we do at Brigands, we give money back. We try and work with other companies, and we give money back to like the Third Option Foundation, or we give money to Force Blue as well. I think it's important to give back. So we try and either donate time or money to different passion projects we have. Like, for me, it's definitely ocean conservation projects or helping other veterans or first responders. Like, both my guys are firefighters now, so we give back to those organizations as well. We have some swag. You can go to our website. But these are my two business partners, Dylan and Connor Curtis. They're out of the Fort Worth, Texas area. They went to 1st Ranger Battalion in Savannah, Georgia. And then after that, they used to go on long weekends down to New Smyrna Beach for the surf. And after they got out of the Army, they found themselves in New Smyrna Beach, and we ended up meeting there. So great guys. For me, like I said, my military background is what got me in the movie industry. It got me in a lot of things, actually. It got me into the agency. It got me into consulting and talking to psychiatric and other academic elements about our experience. And then obviously it got me into SAG. Here's how you go to our company. If you go to our Instagram, all three of us are on it, and mainly Dylan, the youngest guy, he's always answering DMs, but that's how you get a hold of us. So I guess for now, I'd like to open it up to questions. Actually, I'm going to tell you about a couple medical cases, and then we'll open it up to questions. If you want to hear more medical cases, I'm fine to do it. But I guess the first time I was ever on a movie set, and there's always a set medic, and they're, depending on the country, they're either an EMTB basically, or they're a paramedic level person. You'll never find a doctor on a movie set just pulling medical coverage. All those people have to fall under a medical director, obviously, but they're never on set. So me as a military advisor, or a stunt actor, or whatever I'm doing, I make sure the stunt coordinator, who's in charge of all safety for cast and crew, I make sure they know I'm a physician assistant, and I've done remote medicine, and usually we're in remote places and it fits. But we were in Canada and we were on Inception, and we were doing the whole snow scene thing. And one of the principal actors just dropped like a stone, like no warning, no, hey, I kind of feel wham. They just, like, they were standing there on their skis 1 minute and boom, they were out like a light the next and just dropped to the ground. And the wind was blowing at like, I don't know, 30 to 40 knots. It was freezing. It didn't hurt to breathe, but it was pretty damn cold. And the set medic came up and she was like, oh my God, I've seen this a million times. They're definitely high altitude sickness because we were at a ski resort. And Tom I just kind of looked at her, and Tom, the stunt coordinator, Tom Struthers, kind of looked at me and he was like, what's up? And I was like, altitude sickness? We're at $7,000. Like, there's no fucking way. And he goes, well, what, do we need to get her to a hospital, or, what's up? And I said, we need to go to the hospital. And he goes, why is that? And I was like, because it could be anything. It could be anything from they partied last night and they're hungover, dehydrated, whatever, or it could be a brain tumor. Like, I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely not altitude sickness. And he started laughing. He's like, holy shit. So anyways, I just brought the actor down to the base camp, which was a lower altitude, to kind of check it. And the set medic had an ambulance meet us there, and I made sure it was ACLS. But on the way down to the trailer and the base camp for their trailer, I said, hey, because once we got them in the vehicle, they were fine. They weren't fine, but they were talking at least. And I was like, hey, what have you eaten today? And like, what could this be? And what would you do last night? And they basically, I'm trying not to give away the gender, but they were like, yeah, we kind of hit it pretty hard last night. And I was like, please tell me this is a hangover. And they were like, probably. And I said, well, let's get you to your trailer and see how you feel. And they felt better there. And so I knew it wasn't altitude sickness, and I knew it probably wasn't a brain tumor, but I guess I just wanted him to feel better. And then I would take him to a hospital and have somebody evaluate him to make sure it wasn't anything crazy. But that was like the first medical situation I was ever on set. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about, because you're a wilderness medicine group, is if you're in a remote medical area, like snakes are a big thing. The other crazy case that I keep thinking about, and I think about how crazy the situation is I was running a remote medical clinic in Afghanistan at a forward operating base. So I had a clinic, and then when the guys went out on missions, the ground project went out on missions, that was the other part of my job, is to be there. And because of my SOCOM background, sometimes I was an assault leader, sometimes I was just a medic, sometimes I was both. But if I was an assault leader and I had an element with me and anything happened medically, somebody got injured, shot, there was an explosion, penetrating or blunt trauma, whatever it was, obviously I put on my medical hat, and I trained one person per squad to be a combat medic. But the case I'm thinking about is I've had 4 people brought to me that were bit by snakes in that region. And everywhere from the Konar River Valley, which is way up in the northeast along the Pakistan border, to down in Kandahar. And the bites are usually like something along the lines of a saw-scaled viper. So it's a neuro and hemotoxin. So when you walk in a clinic, you always want to check the expiration dates. You want to make sure you have the right medication. I walked into my clinic in Kandahar for the first time, and I went through everything, and a lot of things were expired. So I put in a request to have them replaced. But knowing the saw-scaled viper, one of the most aggressive snakes on the planet, was in the area, I was like, hey, is there any antivenom? And they're like, oh yeah, you got antivenom, you're good. And this before I left the States. When I walked in the clinic, I was like, antivenom, oh, here it is. It was for an US East Coast rattlesnake, and it had been expired for 6 years. So I was like, holy crap, what do I do? So I quickly Googled. I found out the only neuro/hemotoxin antivenom was actually made in Pakistan across the border. And I ordered it right away and had it sent. The problem with that antivenom is 8 out of 10 people that get the antivenom die from the allergic reaction to it. So it's better than nothing. It's way better than the average or the average of you getting bit by a soft-scaled viper. Having a neuro and hemotoxin in your blood system. And of the 4 patients I've had that have been bit, there was only one that wasn't bleeding out of multiple orifices before they got to me. So obviously, if they're bleeding out of multiple orifices, not looking good, right? Their chances of them dying are pretty severe, and they're probably going to die as they get to you. There's one person that wasn't bleeding out of anything, and it was the gardener on Kandahar, the fire base I was on. He got bit and knocked on my door and kind of fell over and was trying to like squeeze his leg because he got bit on the ankle. He got bit definitely by a soft-scaled viper. We got him in. I raced him as soon as I could because I didn't have the antivenom at the time. It was still coming in from Pakistan. I hadn't received it yet. I raced him to the Chinese hospital in Kandahar, and I knew they had it. And the guy was, they got him, pumped him with IV. They flooded his kidneys and they gave him the antivenom. He didn't have an adverse reaction to it, so he lived. On day 4, he told the doctor, hey, if Allah wanted me dead, I'd be dead. I feel fine. I felt fine for days. I'm going home. I'm not sitting in this hospital one more day. And the doctor was like, listen, for the love of God, you're safe now, but you need to be here for at least 5 more days. We need to keep flooding your organs and your kidneys, and we need to keep, making sure you're okay. We need complete observation, complete control. If you crash, we're going to jump on with you with both feet. Do not leave. Of course, the guy left. He died in his sleep that night because his kidney shut down. Boom, there you have it. So those are the 2 medical cases that pop in my head when I think about being a remote medic or being on set. And there's a lot of other cases, especially with stunts, a lot of broken bones in a lot of crazy places, patching him, packaging him correctly, and getting him to the right location, to the right specialist, in my mind is crucial. But you'll be out there doing your thing, and you're going to have to make those decisions. So without further ado, I'm going to probably keep it on this this slide, and actually I'll just stop sharing and we can talk. So that's all right with you guys.
Sounds good to us. We definitely have a couple questions lined up, but thank you so much for the chat. That was so interesting.
Hey, listen, just to manage your expectations, we just flew in from Santorini. The 2nd unit director's birthday was tonight. And I told your colleagues this earlier. Full disclosure, not sponsored by anybody except for maybe the military and some agencies. But we've been drinking, I don't know, for like 3 hours. My crew is upstairs on the 8th floor, which I actually wanted to bring the camera up there so you guys could see the Acropolis. It's a really cool bar. It's like a porch bar that overlooks the Acropolis. But yeah, I'll answer the best I can. And sorry, that was kind of a long exclamation about kind of different things I've done. Fire away.
This was great. This is exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
I'll start off with a specific question I got from someone. So for med students who want to garnish military experience that would eventually help with venturing into non-traditional medical experiences, which military branch would you think is best suited?
Okay. I would encourage all of you to think about the military. I just know military school comes with debt unless you're on this insane scholarship. The military, they really need medical professionals, and they pay well for it. So what I would encourage you to do is do your homework. Talk to doctors that are in the different branches that you're thinking about joining. I would also, not many of those active duty guys think about the reserves and guard. So I'll tell you from a physician assistant point of view, for PAs, and I guess they're going to switch our name now to physician associates, whatever. So for PAs, if you join the guard, you get like a $25,000 signing bonus. And then you get a $25,000 professional bonus every year. So the first year you sign in, boom, 50 grand. Every year after that, 25 grand. And that's the guard and reserve. 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. Holy crap. Like, you can have a real job getting paid real money. And then you have these people giving you cash and you only have to do a weekend a month. They also, depending on the state, look at all their benefits. A lot of them have a loan repayment program. So you give them all the information for all your loans, and then they have a program that just pays them off year by year. So at the end of 10 years, or at the end of 6 years, I think you sign up for 6 years for all that stuff. That's the Guard and Reserve, part-time only. They'll tell you exactly how they'll pay off those loans. If you're nervous, if you're worried, then tell them to go F off and just don't even worry about it. But if what they're saying makes sense to you and it seems like a good fit and it seems like you want to get into something like that, I definitely encourage it. I'll always be in the reserves and guard. I'm, just so you know, I'm 53 years old and I've been in since I was 18. In the Guard and Reserve only, never active duty, because I love the flexibility of the Guard and Reserve. So I work for SpaceX. I work for agencies helping with exercises and overseas projects, ground and maritime. And then I also help with the movie industry. So I have a lot of part-time jobs. But being in the Guard and Reserve, they keep me current on everything that all those other elements want. They keep me current medically. They pay for all my CMEs. They give me a professional bonus, like on and on. And I'm in a rescue unit. So we jump, we dive, we deploy, we travel, we support natural disaster responses. I mean, where can you get the experience of going to Hurricane Harvey, being in College Station, Texas, flying into the zone around Houston, and hoisting under night vision goggles at 150 feet in high winds around electrical wires to rescue families, their pets, their kids? It's pretty amazing. So Guard and Reserve, if it's a good fit, if it's something you're interested in, do your freaking homework and make your own decision. But I encourage you to do that because it's pretty amazing. And I think also it gives you a confidence outside of medicine. Just being in the military and having to have a leadership role just makes you a bit more confident, and it makes your resume look better when you're thinking about and talking about doing remote medical jobs, doing jobs in the movie industry. Like, there's no way I'd be in the movie industry if I didn't have a military background. No way. The medical stuff, like, how many doctors can say, hey, I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria, all through the Guard and Reserve. Because I'm in the reserves, I work for the Burn Center in San Antonio, Texas for the Air Force. And I was the burn consultant in Afghanistan for 4 months. Like, when that's on your resume, like Ben Taub as a trauma center, Baltimore Shock Trauma as a trauma center, Tampa Knife and Gun, like, those are amazing. But when you add combat zones to that scenario, it's pretty amazing. I don't know. I don't know if that answered your question. If it didn't, type away or get on verbal and ask away.
I have a couple more questions I've been sent in. Um,
Go.
in your experience, are movies shot in more remote locations better equipped for different medical contingencies? And sort of what is the medical supplies you have with you, and how does that vary based on where you are?
Okay. To be clear, I've never been a set medic. Every place I go, even if we're in LA, I go up to the set medic and like, bust open your bag, show me what you got. Like, I just want to know, what if you're the guy that gets injured or the girl that gets injured? We're in the movie industry, we're in a lot of remote locations. So even if we're in Budapest or Slovakia, usually we're in the mountains. We're not in a city. We're in a remote location to film something extreme. At least the movies I'm involved in. And they don't really have good medical plans. Like, they really don't. If I'm in pre-production, that's something I hit really hard. Hey, what's the medical plan? And usually a production won't have that. They're like, well, we'll have a set medic. That's not a good answer. That's a horrible answer, actually, because they're hiring the lowest bidder, which in some cases an EMT. Nothing against EMTs, but when you're talking about very intricate stunts and everything that can go wrong with those, I don't think an EMT is going to cut it. As a medical provider, I would want to read the script and I would think, all right, what can go wrong here? How many thousands of ways can this go sideways? And is this production ready for that? I've never seen it. So you really have to think outside the box, and you really have to act like, hey, medically, I'm in charge. How would I tackle this scenario? Like, start a production to end a production. You don't have to worry about pre-production because that's office stuff. But production, shooting, what scenes are they shooting? How many different ways can that go wrong? How competent is the stunt coordinator? Because let me tell you something, if that's the guy's first stunt coordination job, there's no way he is thinking of everything you're thinking of for safety and cast and crew. Like, Extraction 1, they had everything from dengue fever to broken femurs and everything in between. And they're lucky they didn't kill anybody. So medically, that's my answer. But I don't think anybody will ever be ready enough for all the different ways that those places and things and scenes can go sideways on you. And you're the medical director. Like, as a doctor, you're freaking in charge medically. So the earlier you can get on board, the better. You need to bring up those concerns. You need to put it all in writing in an email. For Extraction 2, I'm asking for a 6-man rescue team. I'm asking for a medical director of my choice or theirs. I don't really care. And I'm going to have, during pre-production, I'm going to have to do a medical study of every location we're going to be at and where's the nearest neurosurgeon, where's the nearest ophthalmologist, like, and everything in between. Like, that's going to take some homework. So there's a lot that goes into it. For me, on Extraction 2, to think about a medical helicopter that can hoist somebody out of a gorge after a multiple rollover helicopter and maybe explosion, burn, smoke inhalation, like a team that can handle that I'm hoisting my patient to. I'm thinking about Red Point Solutions out of the Bay Area in California. I know the guy who owns it, Ted Molnar. He's on the SEAL Foundation board. He also was at Global Rescue for a long time. I had a conversation with him. They wanted me to assemble a team to go to the Haiti earthquake in 2010, right at like that same day that the earthquake hit. They called me and I said, Dan, and it was Dan Molnar. He was the director of operations. I was like, Dan, here's the deal. Dan Richards from like the CEO can't talk to me. We get paid up front for 10 days. We're probably only going to be there for 7. We're not giving the money back. We're going to bring our own gear. And you're the only guy I talk to. I don't trust anybody else there. I know you'll take care of us. Well, eventually he got tired of Dan Richards and the Global Rescue Runaround, formed his own company out on the West Coast. And that's a guy I would call and say, hey, I'm working on this movie. Here's all the craziest scenarios I've thought of. I need you on retainer to react to anybody I need to, get my my package patients out of there. So I want to bring you in personally, you, the CEO. I want you to come here with your best operations guys. I want you to analyze the whole thing and then tell me how you're going to execute this. And then tell me what the fee is going to be to have you on retainer standby to do all this. And he'll probably brief me right in front of the producers so they can hear it too. Because when the producers say, look, we're only going to afford this much, I'm going to send an email, or I'm going to have Ted Molnar type out the email saying, look, if you don't hire us, this is the risk you're incurring. And I'm going to forward it right to him and go, hey man, I've told you what I think it takes to cover this thing. You're telling me you're going to give me half. I'm going to do my best, but here's the risk you're buying right now. So I think it's important to cover your ass. But like, just to be able to look yourself in the mirror, you need to ask yourself some hard questions, and you need to be the guy who's injured. You need to put yourself in a stuntman's place that did multiple rollovers in a helicopter at the bottom of a gorge. That's the helicopter's on fire. What kind of team do you want to respond to get you out of that, situation? So you need to attack those problems from a lot of different angles. Hope that answers your question.
And as just sort of a follow-up, when you're contracted on a set, do you know beforehand the combat and action scenes? Is there any that's improv or that I guess would surprise you?
So if the production is on the ball, I'll be there for pre-production, and I'll end up helping out with wardrobe. I'll end up helping out with props. I'll be picking out what the guys are wearing, what kind of gear they have, what kind of armor plates they have, what their chest rack looks like, what kind of weapons they're carrying. And then are they wearing jeans and t-shirts? Is it a snow situation? Are they wearing Arc'teryx and, whatever? If they're smart, I'll be on pre-production. If it's a last minute thing, which happens more often than not, I'll get called in and say, hey, we have these scenes. Can you come and do pre-production and stay for production? And then we're going to have a break, and then we're going to bring you back in for another scene. So when I show up for that, when they call me for that and I can do it because my dates are available, I'll say, hey, send me the entire script. And that gives me kind of the big overarching picture, and then I can drill down on the scenes that I'm going to be covering. But there's continuity involved. So usually I have an idea of what I'm getting into and what kind of craziness we're about to try and accomplish. And that's when I kind of think about all the things that can go wrong. But also I understand the location, what's available to me as far as medical facilities, as far as specialty doctors or DOs. Usually before I fly somewhere, I have time to read, think, and, express my concerns about what I'm going to need and what I need to bring. Usually I bring my own trauma bag and a rope system, just out of habit. But usually I'll have a good idea of what I need to do before I arrive and what I'm going to do while I'm there. That time varies though, depending on when I'm brought in. Next question.
We'll do just one more before we wrap it up here. Have you ever found that being in the reserves conflicts with any of the demands of your current business ventures?
Man, that is a great question, because this, my last deployment was epic. It was amazing. We were the personnel recovery platform for an entire theater. We were based in Al Asad, Iraq. And we were meant to cover part of, well, Saudi Arabia, because that was about to go off. We were about to move an element to Saudi Arabia. There was Jordan, Iraq, and then there was Syria. So this was the fall of 2019. Turkey was incurring in the Syrian border, which I still can't believe that happened. Kind of screwed the Kurds, which I've known since the early 2000s and fought, and I've known them a long time and still have a lot of friends with them. And there was a retrograde out of Syria. So basically they were like, hey, you were on the last deployment, so you don't have to go on this deployment. Do you want to go? And I said, well, I don't have anything going on, so right now I'll say yes. And that was 6 months out. 4 months out comes along, still nothing going on. 3 months out comes along, nothing going on. At the 3-month mark, when they put your name in for deploying in the reserves, at least in my unit, you're kind of locked in. Like you either break an arm, or your child's in the hospital, or some crazy family emergency that you can, like, there's no doubt about it. My family needs me, I have to stay, and I can't deploy. That's the only way to get out of that. Or a personal injury and you're DNF, or you can't jump, dive, and do your job. So 3 months came and went, and I said, hey, I've got nothing going on, I'll deploy. Like I said, it turned out to be an epic deployment. Me personally, my team, and I plussed us up a couple times on a couple different missions, but we basically, an Apache helicopter pilot went down in a really bad area. We rescued those 2 pilots. A couple weeks later, we fully supported the Baghdadi raid in late October. My team went forward into Syria, and I put a younger officer forward because I knew it was going to be a historical mission. Something might happen or nothing might happen, but they were in position to affect if it went sideways on those guys, which it didn't. It was a flawless. I think in the future, when the History Channel comes out with the breakdown of that raid, that'll be the golden standard for a while. For years to come, because it was flawless execution. We were in a place to, if 2 aircraft hit, if an aircraft got shot out of the sky, if anything happened, the rotary team was forward in Syria and covered their infill and exfil to affect it. And then I put myself up with the other team, the fixed wing jump team. We were in a C-130 that was rotors turning the whole night. To go and fly and jump to the rotary team that was probably going to get there first to the incident site. The only reason I bring up that deployment is because at the 1 month mark, when I couldn't get out of it without getting injured myself, I had 3 productions call me. One was James Bond. They wanted me to help with they wanted me to get them a tilted rotary aircraft to land on a dock to pick up James Bond. He was going to jump in and quote unquote fly to Russia from Italy. So the aircraft, no problem. And I couldn't do it, obviously. but I put one of the executive, Tom Hayslip, he was one of the executive producers and a huge aviation guy. I put him in touch with the guy who could make that happen for him. The other production was Venom 2. Tom Hardy called me and he goes, RJ, I need you for this next installment of the Venom series. It's a 3-part series. We're doing the, Venom 2. I need you on the whole show. I was like, bro, I'm deploying. There's no way. I can give you a military advisor if you want. I can recommend somebody. He goes, no. I just want you on the movie. I was like, dude, I'll be deploying. He goes, can you tell me where? I was like, yeah, it's going to be boring. It's going to be in Iraq. It was before before anybody knew that that whole theater was going to take a dump, basically. So I couldn't do Venom 2 during the same time period because it was all in the fall, the beginning of winter of 2019. The other movie that really killed me was Tenet. So I love Christopher Nolan, huge Christopher Nolan fan. I just love the way he directs, the way he thinks, the way he makes movies. And him and his wife together, they're like the awesome team, producer, director, and obviously he writes his own scripts, just amazing. And I heard he's super protective of anybody knowing what his movie's about until it comes out in the theaters. But I knew a couple guys on the show, obviously, and I got a friend of mine on the show as an actor, Matthew Marson, and I knew the stunt coordinator, George Cottle, and so I didn't talk to George because I was just freaking embarrassed I couldn't be on the movie. But because I got Matthew a part in the movie, I was like, hey man, how's it going? What's the movie about? He goes, oh man, it's like this espionage, kind of military, but kind of weird. Like it's futuristic, but it's not. He couldn't really describe it. And you guys may or may not have seen Tenet, but it's a pretty wild movie. I saw it. I think I like Inception better, but it's still a pretty amazing movie for what they did. The military scenes I would have done completely different if I was on that show. I would have organized that last final military push scene way different. Anyways, neither here nor there. That was the only time that was the one deployment that kept me from doing 3 different movies that Chance would have it. Crazy, iconic movies like James Bond and Tenet. Holy crap, Christopher Nolan. It was sad. I was just sad. But then I went on this deployment. I'm on the Baghdadi raid. Like all our aircraft were painted by the Russians, the Iranians, the Turks, the Syrians, the Iraqis. It was insane. Like just that one raid. So what's weird is all these different industries that I'm a part of, I feel like they're all synergistic. I've never had to turn down a movie except during that short time period. Literally with travel, I was probably deployed 2.5 to almost 3 months, 2 months on alert over there, and then travel time on either end, roughly 2.5 to 3 months. During that time period to miss 3 movies, that definitely hurt. But that is the only time I've ever had to turn down a movie. What's weird is when I'm on a movie, every principal actor, their first or somewhere in between the first and 5th question they have for me is, when was the last? Yeah, I heard you were in the military. I heard you were in special forces. I heard you did all this crazy stuff. I hear you worked for the agency. When was your last deployment? And that's a big deal. If you say, well, I deployed over 5 years ago, over 10 years ago, even worse, the actor's gonna be like, But because I'm in the reserve, I deploy every other to every 3rd year. So when a guy like Oscar Isaac was like, hey, when was the last time you deployed? I was like, well, I just came back 4 months ago. Or actually, I'm going to deploy next month. Well, when was the last time you deployed? And as long as it was within 3 years, Usually it's within 1 or 2 years. I've had a deployment when I'm on a movie. So that answers that question. But yeah. Any other questions?
Sorry, Claire, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we want to be respectful of your time. I know it's pretty late over there, so we definitely don't want to
You know what?
hold you up.
I have a whole crew up, like I'm on the 3rd floor, they're on the 7th floor, drinking their faces off, doing shots.
Yeah, we
So,
want to let you join them. Maybe we could
well, the
email you.
longer you can keep me here, the more sober I'm gonna be for my 7:30 flight to Spain tomorrow. So I'm fine to answer questions. I know there's a lot of crazy ways to get into a lot of different industries. Everyone's like, oh, you're a doctor, you must be trapped in an ER or in a practice. Because there's the umbrella, really wide umbrella of remote medicine. You guys can do anything you want. Like you have a day job that you can fall back on when you go out on these other adventures. You can take breaks. The Soldiers and Sailors Act protects you to go on a deployment or to go to dive medical officer school or flight surgeon school. And those are all CMEs too. So you want to work in the movie industry, you want to work for SpaceX, you want to work for anybody and everybody. I mean, you're limited by your own imagination. For sure.
Thanks, RJ. We're getting to about 6:10, and I know a bunch of other people have like classes and stuff too, since everyone's kind of
Sure.
all over. But we
Yeah.
really, really appreciate you taking time out of your obviously super insane and busy schedule to just chat about your experiences with us. Thank you again, and hopefully enjoy the rest of your night and catch your flight tomorrow. And to everybody else, thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us.
Well, if you guys have any questions, I hope you got our website and our Instagram, but fire away. And good luck with whatever you decide.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks for the talk, man. That was awesome.
No worries.